with a title on the line. Roddy Gale Jr. flying out of nowhere. The lead favors Michigan. He got it. Oh, the three. Michigan starting to take control a little bit. Michigan, the 2026 men's basketball national champions.
And we have a champion. Hello, everyone. Welcome to First Take. Stephen A. is here. Hello, I am Shea Cornett. And look who's joining us from Indianapolis.
Yes.
Sean Farnham. Good morning to you, buddy. How are you?
What's going on, bro?
I am great. A champion was crowned last night, and I get to hang out with you two this morning. It doesn't get much better than that.
You don't know, I mean, you're my buddy and all of that stuff. We don't get to be in studio together.
I know what you're going to say.
Usually I would hold you to a dress code, but you on the road. It's early out there, and
yes.
By the way, you've been working all night, so I forgive you.
That's right.
I forgive you.
Good news is.
Okay, thank you. And I got to get on a flight right afterwards. And
there we go.
It's just, you know the deal.
And he's got to go all the way back to California, this poor guy. I mean, my goodness.
I know.
It's a travesty. Farney, we'll get to you in a minute. Michigan head coach Dusty May is actually going to join us here on First Take shortly. But let's begin with his Wolverines because, yes, hail to the victors. The Michigan Wolverines are your national champions. That gives them their second title in school history, their first chip in nearly 4 decades, and gives the Big Ten their first men's championship since 2000. Elliot Cadeau had 19 points. He was named most outstanding player after the Wolverines defeated a UConn team that had won 2 championships in 3 years. Here was Axel Lindenborg, who came into this game a little banged up after the win last night.
Hey, man, they might still be calling us mercenaries. Hey, but we're the hardest playing team in national basketball. We're the best team in college basketball, and we want to be one of the greats ever.
Varney, we'll start with you. You're there in Indianapolis. What statement did Michigan make last night?
Well, I think there's a couple of statements that were made by this team. You know, we talk about where would this team rank all time in Michigan basketball history. I think they are the best team to ever play at Michigan. They're not the most influential team, of course. That's always going to be the Fab Five. But this team and the way they competed, the way they gelled together, the way they dominated throughout the course of this NCAA tournament, they made a big-time statement. And that's a direct reflection of the guy you're going to have on in less than 30 minutes with Dusty May. And we talked about a lot of legends leaving our game in recent years. Kay, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, Leonard Hamilton, Tony Bennett, Jay Wright, Bruce Pearl. But the reality is the new crop of young coaches that are coming up are great leaders. And Dan Hurley's one of them. Dusty May, just after his second Final Four, gets to hoist up a national championship trophy, and it moves him up into that echelon of a very rarefied era of active coaches that have won a national title. And I think as long as he's on the sideline at Michigan, they're going to be relevant at the national level.
Listen, I couldn't echo it any better than that. I mean, listen, we have a conversation later about the Big Ten and what have you and what it means, but for Michigan basketball to be at this place, anytime we've talked about Michigan, even though they won the national championship in 1989, we've religiously lived off of the Fab Five and you know, what culture changers they were and what they brought to the table. And we have profound respect and appreciation for all the great things that they did, and it was great seeing them at the Final Four. But they didn't close the deal in back-to-back national championship games, and neither did anyone else for Michigan until last night. And to me personally, you know, Sean, what stood out to me was this kid, Axel Lindenborg. He was hurt, ankle hurt, knee hurt, and he was out there. And listen, rarely do I get affected by halftime interviews. You know, I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. But when they asked him at halftime, he's like, I'm terrible. I am terrible. He said, I feel terrible. I'm playing terrible. He said, but I'm just trying. I'm in so much pain, but this is the national championship. I mean, you could not have been more honest. You could not have been more honest. And then you see Cadeau and the way that he played, had 19 points. You know, when I had questions about Michigan coming into this tournament, Sean, I thought that they would have the number 1 seed that would get knocked off. When they was asking, which number 1 seed do you give the least amount of chance? So I'm thinking Michigan because I didn't like how their backcourt looked when they went against Duke in the season, Sean. I had trepidation questions about them, forgetting that Cadeau didn't play. And I'm looking at it, I'm saying, look, I went on national television, national radio, and I apologize to the Michigan Wolverines. I saw a couple of NCAA tournament games. I'm like, I didn't see that. Something's up. And I'm just looking at them right now. They've got size. I mean, when you got Morez and you've got Mara, and you see these brothers, the way how big they were, how imposing they were. And then defensively, the way they can get up in you. Michigan showed me, whatever way you want to do this, we can do this. We're going to beat you. And you saw that coming into the national title game because of the way they completely annihilated Arizona. But you give them credit where credit is due. When you look at the national champion, you want to see a team and definitively say to yourself, this is the best team in the nation. And that's what we saw last night. Michigan, the best team in the nation.
Their size was really overwhelming. Go ahead, Farney.
Yeah. To your point, I mean, look, they came in this NCAA tournament, and through the first, 5 games, they were averaging 60 points per game in the paint and the free throw line. They didn't make a three-point shot in the first half of this game, guys.
Right.
They didn't make a three-point shot, but yet 88% of their points that they scored last night came either in the paint or at the free throw line. And it's guys like Adai Mara, who barely played at UCLA, was kind of in the starting lineup, not in the starting lineup, and then look at the role and the impact they played, in particular in that game against Arizona, the blocked shots, the presence around the rim for him and Morez Johnson. This was a team full of transfers, but it was a team. It wasn't just one guy here with a personal goal. It was coming together and understanding what it was going to take to accomplish a larger goal. And that's what this whole thing is about. You go back and look at Indiana football and the way that they were able to do it. The transfer portal is here. It's not going anywhere. So this is what the makeup looks like. And when it's right, you can win a national championship. When it's wrong, you're not getting there. But Dusty May hit on every single transfer that he went after. And they bought into the system, and they executed that system perfectly almost all year long.
And that says something, because listen to what Sean just said. If you're a college basketball fan, pay attention to what Sean just said about Coach May, because what are you talking about? You got to recruit. You got to be on point with who you recruit. You got to make sure you're bringing guys on board that buy into your program. It's a risk because unlike before NIL, where you know what, you're offering a scholarship, they got a roster spot, and that's about it, but you're in control of the program. Now there's some level of control that the players have more so than they did in the past because of the investment that you made in them and how motivated you are as an institution to justify that investment. A coach is now essentially a GM as well, because you got to make sure you execute on a multitude of components in order for things to fly straight. And when you're trying to be a coach in today's game, all of those things, we mention NIL, but we always talking about the players. Transfer portal, we're talking about the players. But it's elevated the responsibilities that are now on the shoulders of the coach, because you got to make sure you recruit the right guy to justify the investment. And on top of it all, it's not just going out there to recruit them coming out of high school or whatever. You're transferring from other schools. They don't have to sit out like they did in the past. In the past, you got to sit out a year. That's no longer the case, right, Sean? So it's a situation where, okay, I'm getting you from another program. You're coming here. Is it the right fix? Is it the right mix? Are you going to disrupt what we're trying to build here? Are you capable of building a culture? We saw Dan Hurley. We know he can build a culture. He's a 2-time national champion, 3 national championship games in 4 years. We know what he brings to the table. Now we're seeing Coach May do the same thing. And that's what we're monitoring, particularly when you see some of these coaching openings that are going to take place. You're looking at these folks and you're saying, okay, what is it? Coaching X's and O's is one thing. Coaching on a basketball coach, coaching in practice is one thing. But now you've got to be really an administrator. You got to be a GM. You got to be a president of basketball operations, per se. Are you capable of doing that? That's where all of this comes into play.
So I'm looking forward to obviously talking to Dusty May, but that's important, right? System matters. You can't just go somewhere and expect to win a championship. Having these guys being in the right system, I think, proved, especially with all these transfers, it really matters. Sean, I want to throw it back to you really quick. We mentioned the size, and I said it was overwhelming. What did you think the difference was for Michigan?